please give a massively warm welcome to one of my best friends the last 20 years, and he's an amazing human being, Jeremy Gilley.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. I've got to be a bit careful here because I can see my accountants in the room. It's lovely to see you, Chris. You've been such a great support, so thank you for everything that you've done. And thank you, Steve, and everyone else in the room who's helped, and particularly Josh and John, who I've actually never met, but I know they're in the room somewhere. I think it's over there. But listen, thanks ever so much for all the support you've given us. I really appreciate it. So it's 26 years of work, 162 countries I've travelled. I certainly need Jack more than probably anybody else on the planet, that's for sure. But it has been an amazing journey, and it's an amazing journey because some of those results. I mean, it was, I had an idea 26 years ago, as you've just seen, to create a day of peace, a day of ceasefire and non-violence, to see if that could be a moment where in our homes, our schools, our communities, our places of work, and in the wider context, we could come together as one. I was amazed at that after years of traveling, that day was created. And of course, the 21st of September is the day of peace. That next phase of wanting to prove it could work, because I could hear the cynics saying it's just a day of peace, but it's fairly meaningless. I mean, it's not really going to make any difference. And that was really worrying because I'd seen Mandela, or I'd seen Mary Robinson, or Kofi Annan, or Shimon Peres, or Oscar Arias, or whoever it might have been, telling me in areas of conflict that a day like that made complete sense. But then when it was created, I was like, wow, it was actually really quite sad and quite shocking that's how people kind of felt about the opportunity that peace could break out. And we all understand why. So that's why we decided to go to Afghanistan, see if we could get the Taliban to agree not to kill or kidnap anybody on the day. Because if we could do that, and then the vaccinators could go in, and the children would get the polio vaccination, and we decrease violence by 70% in Afghanistan, then the cynic really had nothing more to say. It can work. If you're committed, you can climb to the top of the mountain. It depends on how much time you're willing to take to get there, right? And we were in the long game, so we'll go years at trying to manifest it, and it worked. Then to institutionalize the day, that 70% reduction of violent incidents in Afghanistan was really the door opening. It was the moment where the light came on. I thought to myself, my God, if you can reduce 70% of violence in Afghanistan on a day because people are focused in relation to peace and ceasefire and non-violence, then what could we do globally? And what would it mean if the day was institutionalized like Mother's Day? On Mother's Day, we look after our mums, we tell them we love you. It's behavioral change. So if we could manifest behavioral change on a massive scale, then what behavioral change would happen in terms of decreasing violence? And that's why we talk about those numbers. Getting to 3 billion people this year, fully aware there are 3 billion people in the world that know that 21st of September is a day of peace. And the IEP then saying that what they're noticing is, and it's an increasing number, is a 15% reduction of violent deaths as a consequence of that mobilization, where it's like the 26 years, as tough as it's been for me and Chris, or certainly for Chris trying to add up very small numbers, it all makes sense. It was all completely worthwhile. If we were creating the day as a consequence of Steve and Charlie and Ella and everybody else who's been a part of this, if we were creating a day where more people were thinking about peace than any other day of the year, and that was then meaning that was the day where there was the greatest reduction of deaths, then that's it. I just knew that everything that everybody had done, the thousands of people involved, it was completely worthwhile. And of course, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, that happening, and of course, to get to that number, by the way, big campaigns like Make Love Not War with Unilever, a £72 million spend or whatever it was, the McWhopper campaign bringing Burger King and McDonald's together, the Adidas and Puma making peace for the first time ever, that institutionalization to get 3 billion people aware, so you see that behavioral change, has been a massive task. Because every day I get up knowing about that decrease of violent deaths, going, okay, well, what can I do today? What can I do today that might increase that number? That's all we think about all the time. And of course, like Jack, how can we get more people to use this so that they receive this incredible tool, which then means that they might not do something that they would be incredibly sad, right? I mean, this is really serious stuff, and it's incredibly special. So anyway, you can understand why I'm passionate about doing the work when you get results like that. But as a consequence of all of that journey, what led Steve to saying AI to peace is suddenly I was having conversations with the High Commissioner of Human Rights in relation to the World's Day of Anti-Racism. I suddenly was talking with UNESCO, the World's Day of Education. I was talking with the FAO and WFP about the World's Day of Food. We're going to do Mental Health Day. I was talking about the elimination of violence against women in November, Peace Day in September, Youth Day in August. Suddenly, POD has found itself in a place where it is a broadcaster of the biggest international days that exist in the world that are fundamental to our survival. And that's a really interesting place for us to get. And Chris knows that 23 was a very tough year, probably one of our toughest, I suppose, Chris. But 24 was better, and 25 is much better. So, and 26 will be better again. We can see that. Right now, we can see what we'll achieve this year. And I think that that's happening as a consequence of the fact that the reach numbers are going up so high. So we did 347,000 people watching live the shows in 23. We did 3,676,000 watching live in 24. We're going to do close to 17 million this year watching live this year. So that's really amazing that we can see that kind of growth and we can see that kind of revenue growth. Why is that important? Because I want us to survive. I want to keep doing the work, and it's just not easy to do it. So I wanted to tell you about some of those things that we're doing. I wanted to thank Bolt Angels for letting me come here today, and to the others that have supported, Josh and John and many others. And then just to say, if there's any questions you'd like to ask, I'd love to answer them. Thank you. So, does anybody have a question?
AI to Peace, do you want to just talk about?
Yeah, so AI to Peace, we did, it's the second time that we've done it, AI to Peace, and the first time round was a bit of an experiment. I mean, we did AI to Peace because we were hearing people say, like Elon Musk, if you're worried about nuclear weapons, you better get really worried about AI. I mean, or to words to that effect, whatever he actually said, similar to those kinds of lines. And that made me think, well, I mean, when you do food's crucial to peace breaking out. We know that. Same as justice, same as education. So those fundamental shows that we were doing, you realize why we were doing this. The same with AI. There's no sort of AI day that we picked up on. We wanted to create our own so that we could manifest that conversation. This year, we did it with Jack, we did it with Kudo, and we did it with ASI. And it was a great success. We had people from all over the world talking about the role that AI will play in relation to our survival, most importantly, but also in relation to our destruction, which of course naturally comes up. We were thrilled with the result. A lot of people saw the show. We had 1.7 million people watching live in the moment, which is a great number. And we had 4.5 million impressions during the course of the show. So we were thrilled with that. We'll do it again much bigger next year, with the partners that we had, and hopefully more.
21st of June?
21st of June, thank you, Steve, this is good. 21st of June is hashtag Climate Action Live. We've done this a number of times before. So on the Climate Action Live show, we are effectively presenting individuals who are at the forefront of the manifestation of a more sustainable world. We're doing it with Seismic, which is the company that supplies, which helps organizations become B Corps. And we're looking forward to that experience, and we hope to have similar numbers involved. So you can hear what's going on. I mean, we're effectively trying to be a broadcaster and put out content on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis that is fundamental to informing, inspiring, and engaging people to act. And that's our model, and that's what we're doing.
Peace Day?
Peace Day. So on Peace Day, which is of course the day that we're talking about, we've taken Wembley. We'll be at Wembley on the 21st of September. We hope you'll join us. We've not put that into the public domain yet. I'm producing that show with Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics, who you know. I mean, as long as nobody puts this out, then Beverly Knight is performing, and Basement Jaxx is performing, and Young Voices are performing, and Jude hosting, Laura Whitmore, etc. So an amazing array of talent, the leading artist of Ukraine, the leading artist of the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we're excited about that. We've obviously done this many times. We'll be live streaming. We're hoping for a minimum of 10 million people watching that show, which is a target that we think we can reach. And that's what we're doing. So Wembley, if you're all free, you should come along and enjoy it. It'll be amazing. Bring your families. It will start at 6:30 p.m. So it's a nice early night for getting the kids home. But they should come along and they'll have an amazing time. So yeah, that's Wembley on Peace Day. And then in October, we're doing Mental Health Day, and we'll be doing World Food Day. And then in November, we're doing the Elimination of Violence Against Women, which we've done a number of times. We've obviously done Food Day many times, which is sponsored by Unilever, Summa Equity, and Lamb Weston. Lamb Weston is the biggest potato supplier in the world. Unilever, and Summa Equity are making big impact investments. So yeah, hello. Yeah.
Jerry, as Donald Trump seems to think of himself as the world man of peace, trying to bring nations together, any links with him that might be feasible?
Well, yeah. Do you know what? I mean, look, PeaceOneDay, it's a really interesting question. PeaceOneDay is sort of open to anybody embracing the day, no matter who they are. I mean, I've traveled 162 countries and been with both sides in all sorts of situations, as you can imagine. Pretty much everywhere we went, we would always be on both sides of the equation. And if somebody wants to come to the table and observe the day, then they should, because that's what it's all about. And the lovely thing, the thing that I've never done, I've been in some pretty tough situations, as of course you can imagine, is we've never taken a side as an organisation. So when you get into a hard situation, with somebody talking about a particular country or a particular individual, then we've never sort of shamed or blamed or ridiculed. Everybody's welcome. Come along if you can. But the other interesting thing about I don't know what he'll do on Peace Day. I hope he observes it. But why would I hope he observed it? And why is there any chance that he might? Well, he might, because he might want to prove a point. But I think that when we created the World's Day of Peace, which was unanimously adopted by every member state of the United Nations, we then worked, and I worked with John Kerry, actually. I got introduced to him, and then I said to him, listen, this is the World's Day of Peace, but we'd like to make it America's Day of Peace, because you're America, and then maybe if it's America's Day, then it would be observed. And we did that, and we unanimously passed it through Congress. It was an amazing process. So the 21st of September is America's Day of Peace. It happens to be the World's Day as well at the United Nations. But that was a strategic move that I think was a really sensible move. And so, we'll certainly drop a note, and in the hope that he wants to say something on the day. But it is amazing, extraordinary things do happen. You know what I mean? If something happened, it wouldn't actually surprise me. If it doesn't happen, of course, it's just like many other world leaders who won't observe it. But many do now, and that's the amazing thing. You see heads of state, heads of religious organisations like the Pope tweeting, God rest his soul and all of that. But, in the past, we've seen all of those people on Peace Day tell massive communities that the day exists. So the institutionalization, as hard as it's been, it's amazing we're still here, isn't it, Chris? I can't actually believe it. It has been seriously tough. Today is not about money. We're not asking for money. I'm just here to tell a story, to say, Steve, let's tell this story. Let's talk about the amazing way in which Jack and Kudo and ASI supported AI to Peace and put a message out there in a wonderful way. That's the only reason I wanted to come here. It's tough, but it's tough for everyone. You know what I mean? And I know what poor is. I've seen it and smelt it. And right now I feel like the richest guy on the planet, although we don't have much. And that's a really nice perspective that you have, isn't it? From seeing many things in the world. We've really done well, all of us. We're here, we're safe, it's hot, we've eaten, there's crisps. You know what I mean? It's like, that's really beautiful. And I sort of know where I'm at with it. And I also think that, no matter what we do in business or however we do, I don't really care about the failure. I'll go and see Chris and he'll say, oh, you've done bad and we've got to wind this thing up and it's all a bit of a mess and I'm going to regret the conversation. But truthfully, I don't care. I'm going to do my best and that's it. That's all of us can do. We try our best, we fail, we pick ourselves up and we go, what did we learn? I'm only as wise as the failures I had, not the pats on the back or the king giving an honour. What's that? That's interesting. But it's only interesting because of the darkness, the difficult times. And if I think about my 20 years, 6 years, I only did this because of stuff when I was young, right? At home, what was going on for my mum. I only did this stuff because of that. And I know that all through this 26 years, the real dark stuff, the real horror is what has kept me up, has kept me going, has made me want to work hard, has made me want to put constructive narrative into the world that informs, inspires, and engages people towards action. Because there has never been a more important time, in my opinion, than now, that Jack and us and others must put stories into the world that are reached by young people who make them believe that this is a place that's worth living. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to do that, man. We've got to do that in a major way, and I am fully committed to that. I am fully committed to that.